In today's video, I'm going to be replacing the brake pads on this disc brake road bike. The process starts by removing the rear wheel, which will give you access to the brake pads inside the caliper. To take out the pads, first remove the safety clip and then unscrew the brake pad axle bolt. Now the pads can be lifted up and out of the caliper. With the pads removed, there is now access to the pistons, and the next step is to clean them thoroughly. Using isopropyl alcohol and a soft bristle brush, scrub the inner area of the caliper. I like to repeat this a few times and also wipe the area with a microfiber cloth as well. Next, squeeze the brake pad a few times to expose even more of the piston and wipe them with a Q-tip soaked in isopropyl alcohol. This prevents dirt from being pushed into the system during the next step. With the pistons cleaned, they now need to be pushed back into the caliper to make way for the new pads. The first method you can use to do this is using a plastic tire lever. Insert the lever into the caliper and push firmly on the pistons to work them back. A trick I like to use to make this process easier and also avoid damage is to install the Shimano bleed cup at the lever. This helps avoid pressure buildup in the system and makes it much easier to get the pistons fully pressed back. Once the bleed cup is on, I'm going to add a little bit of mineral oil to the funnel since I'm going to finish the job with a quick lever bleed. Make sure you wipe up any mineral oil that spills out. Now you can see when the piston is pressed by the tire lever, it goes back much easier into the caliper. But the tire lever isn't the perfect tool for this job, since it's hard to press squarely on the pistons and it can fling out of the caliper when it's pressed like this. So another method to press back the pistons is using a piston press. The press gets inserted into the caliper, and when it gets tightened, it expands to push the pistons back. It generates a lot of controlled pressure and evenly pushes the pistons, making this a very effective tool for the task. I would only recommend using this if you have the bleed cup installed at the lever, since it generates a lot of pressure and it could damage the rubber bladder inside the lever if used too aggressively. A full brake bleed isn't necessary with pad replacement, but since the bleed cup is already installed, it's easy to install bleed blocks in the caliper and do a quick lever bleed. This involves squeezing the lever at different angles to work out some of the bubbles from the line. I'm doing about 20 squeezes in each position, using my stand to rotate the bike up and down. Once done, I return the bike to flat, insert the plug into the bleed cup, and remove it from the lever. Then the screw can be reinstalled, the area cleaned with isopropyl alcohol and a microfiber cloth, and the rubber hood can be reinstalled over the lever body. The bleed block can now be removed and the new pads can be installed. On these particular brakes, there is a left and right pad, with the left being the non-drive side and the right being the drive side. The pads simply push into the caliper and then the slide pin secures them in place. I like to add a small amount of grease to the caliper slide pin before installing it, so it helps with future removal. Install the safety clip on the slide pin and your brake should look like this when it's all done. The final step is to wipe down the rotor with isopropyl alcohol using a clean cloth. Make sure you're using a brand new cloth and wipe both the front and rear side of the rotor before reinstalling the wheel back onto the bike. Spin the wheel and then squeeze the lever until you feel firm braking pressure develop. To make sure the rotor isn't rubbing, you can spin the wheel backwards and listen for any metal on metal sounds. If you do notice any noises, you're going to either have to straighten the rotor or align the caliper, and I'm going to link down below to my videos on this as well. If there are no other issues, the final step is to bed in the pads. I take the bike for a quick spin and hold down the brake while riding for around 30 to 60 seconds. And with that, this job is done and the bike is ready to ride.